Good evening, everybody, wherever, or good morning if you're on the other side of the world. My name's Andy Goldstein. I'm with Sol-Ark. For those who don't know much about us, we're a veteran-owned company out of Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. We manufacture, engineer, and design power electronics specific to the renewable energy space. And we have some flagship products, specifically what we call a hybrid inverter, which essentially for those at home is an energy computer that can control power flow from solar panels, deliver it to batteries, and ultimately power your home or your business. And it has quite a bit of functionality. We design our systems with you in mind. So they're very robust hardware, very stable software, and they have a variety of modes that can be programmed. And we're not going to go into too many details today. Quite a bit to unpack generally, but suffice it to say, regardless of your utility rate environment, or if you are looking to completely disconnect from the grid, we can do it. So I'm just going to show a few slides today that, if you can see my screen, just a little bit about us. We're growing extremely fast. Thank you to everybody who has chosen Sol-Ark and participated in our growth. We're moving to over 300,000 square feet at the end of this year. And when you purchase one of our systems, we hope that you can appreciate that it's just all in one. It's one box. You get one box, you put it on the wall, you plug it in, and you get going. You don't have to puzzle piece together a big bill of materials. We have 7 days a week support. So if I can leave you with anything today, please remember you can always give us a call 7 days a week and email us. We love to talk to even homeowners, DIYers, and anybody out there who's interested in solar or storage. We finish our products here in the Dallas Fort Worth facility. We QC, we QA, we package and deliver all from here. So we do get a question, is it made in the USA? Is it assembled in the USA? Not completely. It's still 70% prefabbed in our contract manufacturer overseas, but we do finish it here. And with our new facility, we do have plans, hopefully in the next couple of years, to be assembling here. We do quite a bit of training, and we would love to invite you to come see us. You can see a HomeGrid battery in one of these images here on our training wall. So the ultimate goal is for you to be able to be confident that you can do that. So whether you're a new install or you already have solar and you're looking to add batteries, or maybe you're considering a generator, or you have a generator and you want that to charge your batteries, we can do it all. We like to give confidence to our customers that if they're competent with our systems, they'll be confident that they can do anything they really need them to do. Again, 7 days a week engineering support on our hotline 972-575-8875. We're the #1 choice for other groups. We call them integrators. That's a loose term for those who put our widget within their widget. One is Beam. They're a public company that manufactures off-grid EV charging stations. Our company, we have big plans. We plan to be around a long time. We're very financially stable, and we have been vetted by a variety of financing partners that have evaluated us and have determined that not only our products are credit worthy, but of course our company is as well. Soon coming online, we'll be coming online with Solar Insure. Not going to talk too much about this, but it's going to be really exciting for us to be a part of their network. If you go to their website, you can learn more about their system level warranties. So since we don't have a lot of time, this is my second home. I have a home in Puerto Rico. It's 3,000 square feet. That's my family. The little girl in the green shirt, that's my daughter. And my brother in the kitchen with my niece. Anyway, so I just wanted to show you guys that we have one Sol-Ark 10 kW, excuse me, a 10 kW of photovoltaic solar with a 15K Sol-Ark inverter with a HomeGrid battery. We are powering that entire home. The grid in Puerto Rico is extremely unstable. There's a joke on the island if like there isn't a grid really, but there is, and we're able to sell back our power. We can also back up all of our critical devices. We have some medical devices in the house, and I'll talk about that a little bit. And so it's worked out really well. We can power up the AC and all of our kitchen devices that use motors and even run the dryer. It's a really powerful system what we can do. And so to give you an idea, we have a 5 millisecond transfer time. It's so fast that you don't even know it happens. And my brother sent me a message one time saying, "Hey, we didn't even know that the power went out until others in the neighborhood messaged us." Just emphasizing why of course, we talk the talk and we walk the walk. We have one of our own systems, but we chose the system because we wanted a lot of power. It can do 3 times what a Tesla Powerwall can do, and we were able to save a lot of space in our garage. So less space, more power, and with the HomeGrid battery being modular, it's a nice fit. If we want to expand the size of our system, we can just either add more inverters and or batteries. Again, a key differentiator is our 5 millisecond transfer time. That's to our knowledge, I think Tesla's improved, but we're still 50 to maybe 60 times faster in transfer time than they are, which is why we're selected by banks, by hotels, government entities, clinics, and especially anybody who's working from home. They really don't want to have to reboot all their devices, especially in Puerto Rico, multiple times a day when the grid is failing quite a bit. So just to wrap up, a little bit about our roadmap. We'll be launching a whole lot of products. We've done a competitive analysis on what the market is doing. And at Sol-Ark, we have big plans, not just for the residential market. We're entering commercial and industrial markets. We'll be releasing microinverters near the end of this year. You'll be hearing about our optimizers with rapid shutdown coming soon, probably by the end of this month or early next month. And we'll also be rolling out EV charging and some utility interactive load management solutions later this year. So pretty exciting stuff. And since today's an abridged version, if you have questions, again, you can email us at support, SUPPORT at sol-ark.com. Contact the team at NAWS, Northern Arizona Wind and Sun, or Northern Arizona Electric, I guess, new name now, and or the group at HomeGrid. And I'll pass it on.
Great, thanks, Andy. Okay, you pause. So I have my screen up here. I just need a confirmation. Can Andy, are you able to see that?
Yes.
Great. Okay, guys. So for our portion, we're going to talk about why batteries and then why HomeGrid specifically. There's a lot of brands out there today, so would love to contrast and show you why we pop out. But first, a little bit about our company. So Lithion has been around since the late 90s and owns several different brands across different verticals. We have medical, military, construction applications, and HomeGrid specifically is the residential arm for Lithion. And what we're doing currently is everything's coming overseas. Within the next 3 to 4 years, we've already committed funds, and we do have significant financial backing from groups like Tri-West Capital. We will be manufacturing our own prismatic cell lithium iron phosphate cells here in the US. So again, the goal is within 3 to 4 years. We've already committed funds for that. And our facility is going to be somewhere between Nevada, Arizona, or Texas. But in terms of why batteries, right? Many of you are in different markets in the US. And so some of you come from a stable grid and really are just looking for backup in emergency situations. For example, grid-tied customers have discovered that solar will not produce if the grid is shut down. And so you have a battery to back up those critical loads, for example, like light, maybe your refrigerator or your freezer, only for the duration that the grid is out. Some of you kind of fall in the mindset of looking for financial incentives or rate arbitrage. Some utility companies have high time of use and demand charge rates. And so you use a battery to circumvent those time frames where prices for receiving power from the grid is much higher than normal. And then there's those of you that are in the California market with NEM3, all to yourself. Some might think that the solar market is now dead in California, but all NEM 3 did was create the necessity for batteries. And for a little context on that, because I do think what we're seeing in California, it was done in Hawaii previously, and just as a foreshadow, I believe that'll hit across several markets in the U.S. So, but again, net metering is pretty standard across the U.S., and that essentially is your ability to sell extra power during the day that your solar produces back to the grid. And now with NEM 3 in California, homeowners are getting a fraction of what they used to by way of credits with the utility for the extra power they produce. And then they're also facing higher rates for receiving power from the grid. So using a battery, you can absorb all the extra production from your PV systems, because otherwise you'd sell it back to utilities for pennies on the dollar. And then they discharge the battery at different parts of the day to avoid higher rates. And for any of you in the California market, long story short right now, Sol-Ark and HomeGrid has the best solution for you to create a microgrid and avoid a power bill in California, because we have a legit solution for whole home backup. Which brings me to my last group. There's those of you who are wanting to create your own microgrid, go off grid, or just you're connected to the grid, but you want to be independent for the majority of the year. And in my experience, that's a system that you scale up to over time, as opposed to purchasing it all at once. But we really do, HomeGrid has the best solution set for any of those categories. And what I've found is people who've gone and installed the system, they're always looking to expand. You have your expectations, and then you build out your solar and your battery system, but things change as time goes on, and I'll show you why HomeGrid specifically. So in terms of specs, I'm going to pull this up. We won't go through every line item of our spec sheet. I'm just going to highlight a couple things. Capacity, power, and surge, right? Capacity, basically, how big is the glass of water, right? How long will the battery last? Power, how much energy can the battery put out on a continuous basis? And then surge is important, because when you're talking about being able to start up heavy appliances, like a well pump or an AC unit, you need to have a system that can crank out that power. And then you also need an inverter that can match that, which is why we partner so closely with Sol-Ark. But in terms of these specs, we are generally 1.5 to 3 times the power and surge values and capacity of any other battery in the market. And so within all of that capability, we have a modular design that makes a couple things very easy: the install itself, and then future expansion. So for example, picture the customer type who really just wants a system for emergency backup. You'd start with a system that has 2 or 3 modules, but then think 1, 3, 5, 10 years down the road. As you'd like to expand your system, you can. And this video right here will demonstrate a little bit just the install concept. There's no wiring in between each of the modules. It's a male and female connecting point, each of these about 110 pounds each. You're stacking those up literally like Legos. You put your BMS on the top, which is basically the brains of the system, and then you're done. The connection to the inverter is very easy. And so we have some pictures down here as well of current installs that we have. And so after all is said and done with again, the specs, the capability of the system, the ease of install and future expandability, we wanted to create something that did look good in the home, that you wouldn't mind having out in the open, right? Especially with the Sol-Ark. For any of those who want to kind of look through our website as well, look at our press page. We have several third-party reviews from different installers. And so that's it. Let's open up for a little Q&A. Let's do that for maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll be done. Currently, we have the chat box. So we'll hang around here for a couple minutes and for any question.
While we're waiting on some of the questions, I do want to add, Shane, your batteries offer some of the largest scalability on the low voltage side of any battery on the market, right? So is it somewhere in the 500 kilowatt hour area, give or take?
Yeah. So 576 kilowatt hours, which basically is, let me see. I have a good picture.
And while he's looking that up, Andy,
Yeah.
your inverter offers some of the largest scalability when it comes to single phase and three-phase inverter configurations. The 15K Sol-Ark inverter can be stacked up to 12 units, I believe.
Yes, that's correct. So the Sol-Ark 15K can be installed in parallel, and we do a lot of single split phase installs. So that's at 120, 240 volts, but we also do a lot of 208 volt installs. So for small commercial projects, or we do get some really, really large homes in some cases. We've done some private islands and some things, which we understand that's not call it the median or the average, but it's still doable, and it's doable with the same SKU. So you don't have to think about, do we get a three-phase inverter or a split phase inverter? It's really in the software. You just go to the main screen, you program it to do what you want, and you're good to go.
Still, regardless, it's not uncommon for us to scale a system with more than one 15K and 3 to 6 stacks of the 38 kilowatt hour batteries from HomeGrid. These designs are pretty regular. And the scalability aspect and being able to pass 200 amps or even 400 amps through to very large homes and large energy storage capacity from HomeGrid. These are really good options. Looks like we got some questions coming in now.
So what is the approximate lifespan with a 24K stack? So typically these systems are around 15 to 20 years is the expectation. Does your battery operate in open loop? Which inverters other than Sol-Ark are your batteries compatible with in both open and closed loop? So we can work, so as a 48 volt system, we can operate with any 48 volt inverter, and Sol-Ark will tell you the same on the flip side. They can work with any 48 volt battery. We have closed loop comms established with Sol-Ark, the Schneider XW Pro, and then we're finalizing with Victron. Those are the main three, and then we have other systems like Outback where we have open loop comms, and we're able to work with them.
I'm here to say, if you're going to do installation with lithium batteries, it's imperative you have closed loop communications. Would you not agree, Shane?
Yeah. Yeah.
It really does allow the system to function perfectly. It allows the batteries to be charged properly, allows you to capture the most energy from your system and not worry that things are just not right, and accurately monitor the system using accurate SoC delivery and control. Right. One of the benefits of having closed loop with Sol-Ark is that your GenStar or your grid connection, everything is defined by SoC, which is really all that matters in a lithium system. SoC is all that matters. So, and obviously, yeah, these solutions can absolutely work in an off-grid situation. That's without question. That the whole point of the Sol-Ark is to be able to be independent of the grid, to be able to isolate from the grid in the event of inconsistency. And so it can isolate and go off grid and work perfectly fine, completely off grid for forever, for that matter.
Yeah, I mean, that's really how, Andy, you can chime in, but man, that's how Sol-Ark started.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the company was founded with the purpose in mind to make families and businesses grid independent. The inverters were originally designed for off grid, and we kept getting requests for more power, so we just kept building bigger inverters. Then we got requests for grid connectivity capability for urban areas, and then we changed it into a hybrid. So it has true off grid and on grid functionality. And for those who are newer to solar, just to keep, we'll keep it simple, but designing a hybrid inverter is tremendously complex. It's much more complex than a conventional grid tie inverter or a conventional off-grid inverter. To be able to do all the functionality all in one box was not easy to design, especially with the amount of peak power that we provide and the 5 millisecond transfer time. Well, if you're off-grid, you don't need a transfer, but when you're grid connected, but you still want to have off-grid functionality, it's not easy to do that. So we encourage you to call us, and if you have questions, we're happy to answer them.
Andy, the next question is minimum PV array size from the inverter side. Like I have an answer for being able to charge the batteries, but first from the inverter side, is any comments on having a minimum PV array size?
Sure. So not to get too far into the weeds or too technical, but look at your solar panel data sheet and find the open circuit voltage. That would be the VOC. And you have to multiply that number. Usually it's around 50 volts or 48 volts, and multiply that number by probably 2 or 3. If it goes above 150, then you're in good shape. Why is 150 important? Because our inverter starts up at 150 volts, so that you need to have at least 3 panels in series. So theoretically, if you wanted to have a Sol-Ark converter, our smallest is the 5K single phase unit. Our split phase unit is an 8K, but in theory, you could have as few as maybe 4 or 5 conventional solar panels on the array. The maximum, however, is quite high. So on the 15K, you can DC couple 19.5 kilowatts of PV and AC couple 19.5 kilowatts of PV for a total of almost 39 kilowatts. So on one inverter, you can have a very large PV array.
From my end, what I would say is for PV array size, you do want to have a system that can produce extra than what your home is using while your PV is producing. That extra production can go straight into charging the batteries. As far as if you're looking at it from like a residential project, right? And for anyone who's familiar with the solar proposal, typically you'll speak in terms of a percentage offset that a PV system will produce for your home. So we recommend having a minimum of 85% offset as far as a solar array size for your home if you're going to add batteries. That way, at least at that point and up, you'll reliably have extra production to charge your battery. And then if you're working in an off-grid scenario, I'd work with NAZ Electric to make sure you have a PV system that's big enough to meet the demands of your project while being able to charge the batteries.
It's even easier if you're grid tied. Just send us your bill and we can size the perfect array to make sure that you can store enough and offset enough to be self-sufficient.
Yeah. From Jay Wood, we have spec state max discharge current for a stack of 6 batteries of 300 amps. Can that be sustained, or is there a lesser recommended sustained discharge current? So while our batteries are rated for that amperage, it's going to depend on the Sol-Ark inverter. So for example, the Sol-Ark 15K can charge at 275 amps. So that overall, the inverter is going to have the say at the end of the day what amperage gets pushed and pulled from the battery. Andy, any comments on that?
No, you're absolutely right. In the Sol-Ark, because of our peak discharge or our peak power, you can do well above that 300 amp rating. So you're going to be able to maximize the amount of amperage that's available in the home grid stack without throttling the inverter.
And there are safety parameters in both our battery and Sol-Ark's inverter to make sure in any overcurrent situation that no vital equipment gets damaged. So,
sorry to interrupt.
Of course.
Sorry to interrupt, Shane. A couple people have asked in the questions about getting a copy of the recording. We will email out a recording of this to everyone who attended and those who were unable to attend. So if you left a comment, don't worry, we're going to get everybody.
Thank you, Heather. Okay, the next question is for one section of lithium-ion battery. If you don't mind rephrasing that question.
I think it was just an addition to above with the minimum PV array size.
Okay.
Yeah, so honestly, the minimum PV array size is kind of the opposite of what you should think. You really should think of what's the ideal array size, regardless of the size of battery. So like usually you'll size the array and the battery proportional to the system's demand and the goal of the design. So you're going to design the system to have a sustainable PV array and appropriately sized lithium battery to go with the inverter, and the inverter size to be able to handle the loads for the system. So you're going to handle the loads, store the energy in the batteries, and produce the energy in the PV array to create a fully sustainable system. So they're all proportional in one way or another.
Thank you. From Ron Murphy, can these batteries work in parallel with other closed loop batteries? The shorter answer is no. You'd have to, make sure you have one battery system attached to one inverter. They wouldn't be able to simultaneously communicate different battery brands. So next question, can I use if I already have Enphase solar? Yes. So one of the great strengths of Sol-Ark inverters, and Andy probably should let you answer this, but man, you can AC and DC couple solar into it. You can hook in a generator or battery, all of that simultaneously. There's a lot you could do there, but go ahead, Andy. Any comments there?
You took the words out of my mouth. We can do both
okay.
DC couple and AC couple at the same time. Now we have a lot of customers on a new install. They tend to go with a DC couple because it's more efficient. It's a simpler install. But there are a lot of customers out there that already have solar, and then they see the need for batteries. There are various reasons for that that Shane alluded to, because of rate structure changes, time of use. Maybe they're looking for some storm backup or some backup because the grid is unstable, and they don't want to have to start from scratch. The investing in a solar system is not an everyday decision. We understand that, and so if you have a system, it can be Enphase, it can be any other inverter that's outputting AC power. So it could be an SMA, it could be SolarEdge, it could be Fronius. That's fine. We're fine with that. You just take the Sol-Ark and you AC couple, meaning you take the existing solar that's now delivering AC power through the existing inverter into our inverter, and then add the HomeGrid battery, and you're good to go.
Yeah, I'll add to that. The Sol-Ark has a really nifty way of doing this. If you're not using a generator, you can run the AC coupled PV input from your conventional grid tied inverter straight through the gen input, and tell the Sol-Ark that you're using the gen input for AC coupling, and allows the Sol-Ark to track and monitor all that AC power coming in from the solar array as if it was a DC coupled array. So it works really well. And we do this quite a lot, mixing DC coupled and AC coupled applications, especially for existing clients who have existing grid tie who want to add battery capability to their systems.
Next question is for Sol-Ark, options of trickle charging.
I'm assuming that's referring to charging vehicles with the Sol-Ark and the HomeGrid. Maybe I'm just trying. Maybe I'm the one who's misunderstanding. Excuse me.
I don't think Sol-Ark's trickle charge at all. They flood charge. We just charge like crazy with Sol-Arks.
Yeah, I mean the Sol-Ark charges really quickly, so I just wasn't sure what this gentleman was referring to. Maybe if you can clarify, but we charge pretty powerfully.
Yeah. So for William's question, what are the charge and discharge limits recommended for HomeGrid batteries to achieve optimum longevity? So about 85% depth of discharge each day is the recommended range. And then as far as charging on our spec sheet, you'll see, based on the number of modules, there's a charge amperage that's recommended for each system size. From Zachary Frey, what is the recommended charge rate in amps per 4.9 kilowatt hour module? Also, do you offer a high voltage battery? So recommended charge rate in amps per each individual module, it's around 90 amps. But then again, as you stack these, make sure you refer to our spec sheet, because you can't just keep adding that number as modules are added. You want to make sure you're staying between the 180, 270, 300 amp range based on how many modules you have. So it'll cap at 300. Do we offer a high voltage battery? That is something we're in the works with right now. So we have our system at our facility. We're running tests on it. Once we do that, that'll go through the UL process. So I imagine we'll be able to announce that in the next 3.5 months. And for those aware of Sol-Ark's commercial offerings with the 30 and the 60K, that high voltage system will be compatible with both. So what is the life cycle of the batteries with a depth of discharge of 80%? So currently our warranty states 4,000 cycles at 100% depth of discharge. I don't know the quick math on that, but it would be above that number. And then Dean Friedman asked about standby generators. Any comments on Sol-Ark's compatibility with generators?
Solar converters are compatible with any 240 volt standby generator. We require a 2-wire start generator, but we're also able to do small portable generators, not the 120 volt kind, but even if it's a small generator, we can do it. And that wasn't easy. It took us almost a year to figure out how to get that done, because the power coming out of some of those generators can have what's called total harmonic distortion, THD. That's really high, meaning that the sine wave is not pure, but our inverters can still read it. So if you have questions about this, please reach out to us directly. We can look at the generator that you have. I would say it's very likely that it'll work, but just in case, give us a call and we'll coach you through it.
JD asked, make that 85%. So one more comment on our warranty. We, I know I just mentioned 10 years, 4,000 cycles. We did just adjust our warranty to be an aggregate throughput instead of a year amounts and cycle count. So if you look at our warranty, it'll be about 14 megawatt hours per each module. So you'll kind of do some reverse math to answer that question. I don't have the exact cycle number off the top of my head, but it is each module will we warranty 14 megawatt hours.
Shane, if I may add one more comment about the generator.
Please, yeah.
We do have some homeowners that they want to start and stop the generator to charge the batteries at specific times of day or night. Some customers call this quiet mode. They don't want the generator to turn on at 3 a.m. maybe when the batteries possibly deplete to a certain state of charge, and we can program it not to do that, or we can program it to turn on at a specific time. So, and we can also tell the generator to turn on when batteries deplete to a specific state of charge. So it's not an all or none game. We can actually help you save a lot of fuel by using the batteries and only charging the batteries at a certain level that is most appropriate for your personal and specific situation. So just we can help you with that as well. And I'm sure the team at NAZ Electric can help you.
For William's follow-up question, max charge percentage recommended. So there's no throttle down that or no limits we'd recommend on the top end. So 100%. So from Dean, with standby generators having a battery inside it, I was asking about the trickle charger options for charging the small battery inside the inverter.
Standby
Maybe
generator.
he means inside the generator, like the small battery, the starting battery inside the generator. I mean, just the AC charger makes the most sense. The whole system's going to be natively AC anyways. So if you want a trickle charger, then you can grab a small AC trickle charger and run the system off that. The native voltage for the entire Sol-Ark system and HomeGrid system is 48 volts nominal. So There's nothing low voltage there. Besides like lower than 48 volts.
Okay, got another one. One sec. Oh, there we go. Thanks, John, for the comments. Okay. I'm also pausing just to see if any questions come through. But for those who've stuck with us, thank you so much for attending. Really appreciate it. I have the webinar recording. I'll send that over to NAZ Solar Electric, James, Heather, Neil. Thank you guys so much. Much appreciated.
Thank you for everyone who joined.
Yes, thank
you
you.
guys.
Thank you,
Okay.
Shane, Andy, Sol-Ark, HomeGrid. We appreciate you guys.
Of course. Good night, guys.
Good night. Thank you.